Alright guys, welcome to another Source Gaming discussion. I'm your host today, I'm Spazzy. I'm joined by Cody from our translation team. Say hi.
Hello.
And Matt, also known as a Shadow Link, also known as that one salty Dante guy.
Hi.
and our special guest, RogersBase, who... Say hi.
What's good? Yeah, hello everybody. RogersBase here. I was waiting. I'm like, you said who, and I'm like, all right, where are you going with this?
Well, I was gonna say who was invited on to counterbalance Shadow Link's saltiness with your positivity. So we'll get to a good equilibrium.
I'm not salty.
We talked about this before we started recording, though, and it's strange because I feel like there were a lot of people thanking me for being so positive, and I'm like, are you guys used to my YouTube channel? Because I do like playthroughs of Fire Emblem. Like, of course I was gonna like this. So I get totally where people are coming from. People who are upset at this being the last one of this Fighter Pass. And again, we talked about this a little bit before we started recording. I feel like if Byleth was the second fighter in this Fighter Pass and maybe got released during E3 last year when we were getting all that lead up to Three Houses anyway, and was maybe in like that hero slot, people wouldn't have been as upset. But I think people were expecting it to, start big and end big. We started with Joker, and I think people expected something on that level for the ending one. And so when it wasn't that, I understand why people could have been salty. But again, I'm not mad about this at all. I like Fire Emblem. I'm happy. We got a Cuphead Mii Fighter costume. I'm good.
Yeah, I think this particular character had a lot of build-up, and there were so many rumors and leaks and everything that...
I mean, he was gassing him up even beforehand, during the Direct.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, nobody at Nintendo knows you're going to say, wow, I can't believe it's his character. So that might have been a little bit of a mistake.
That was a translator not having the inflection. You're going to say, wow, it's this character?
It's really that character.
Right, there you go. There you go.
But anyway, so we just had our big Direct. I feel like I know some people that are super excited, some people that are super upset. I think most of us in Source Gaming are, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think a lot of us are just kind of more neutral, a little indifferent, like happy to get a new character is kind of the general vibe. We have a couple Byleth fans, but the bigger news for me personally coming out of that presentation was that we now have 6 new characters. So we have a new Fighter Pass. It has been confirmed, by the way, if you look at the Japanese site, that each one does come with songs and a stage. I don't think they've said Spirit Board yet, but I'm assuming it's just going to be the same exact package. So 6 stages, 6 characters, and I thought we could talk about who we think are likely for the upcoming pass.
Excellent.
Yep. Let's start with Cody. I feel like you're a nice neutral voice in here. I don't know where you're going to come from.
Well, when it comes to Byleth, I was actually pretty positive about it too. I think Three Houses is probably my favorite game of last year, and after I saw that, I was like, wow, there are so many opportunities now for first-party characters.
Yep.
That was my first thought, and of course, so I guess I'll just go down my list. One of the characters that I've been rallying for a while was Rhythm Heaven representative. So definitely something from Rhythm Heaven. I'm not sure if it'd be Karate Joe or the Chorus Kids, but would love some kind of representation finally. Besides that, I'd also think that another Kirby representative would be nice, and Bandana Waddle Dee, or just Waddle Dee in general, would probably be the character that most people would want from the Kirby series. Bandana Waddle Dee's kind of been like the 4th member of Kirby's crew in the most recent games, so it would make the most sense. And aside from that, I think I still think that old leak with Doom Guy and Gino.
You're still clinging on that one.
I'm still on that.
The Kako Demon and Mallow Mihat?
Kako Demon and Mallow.
Okay.
Yeah. I still think that has some ground. I mean, maybe not. Maybe it doesn't. But I think
those are characters that you can think are likely even without a leak.
Yeah.
So
yeah, even without the leak, I think those 2 characters have some standing. So I'd say Doom Guy, Gino, and as for the last 2, It's tough. I'm thinking maybe since there's been so much talk about it, there was really no leak for it or anything, but I saw a lot of people talking and it made me think Arl would be a really cool representative for puzzle games.
From Puyo Pop, yeah.
Yeah, she's on the cusp of my list.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
I like the Puyo games. So, I mean, I think we do need some more puzzle rep anyway, because I think we've just got Dr. Mario.
Yeah, I don't think that, you know, I know with Papa Gino's and some other people were really big on the pick of the day and this or that, but I feel like those have never actually meant anything.
Yeah, I don't think those really mean anything, but
Yeah.
I think the games speak for themselves in terms of their popularity, and I think not Arl, but the Puyo games, Sega was supporting the Switch with them even at the very beginning of the Switch's life, and in the Nintendo Switch Online with the
Right.
Japanese Puyo game that's on there. I think that Arl would be a nice pick to represent that.
I think I know Nintendox has been on that for a long time. And
Yeah.
we've seen it being mentioned in several places.
Mm-hmm.
I think the weird thing about Arl Naja is that Puyo Puyo is huge in Japan,
Yeah.
but it's so people really, if it wasn't for Smash, wouldn't really know
Yeah, we
who
wouldn't
she
know
was in
over
the United
here.
States. To the point that when they made Sega crossover games, All Star Tennis and like several All Star Racing games, she's never been in them because they've been developed by Western
Interesting.
Studios,
Yeah.
and that's how little.
Well, I
yeah.
feel like Arl, though, is one of those characters that we could maybe see a really good Mii Fighter costume for. I feel like, really, with those
Yeah,
past
at
two
least.
Smash Directs, they've really opened up the floodgates in terms of, like, what a Mii costume could look like. And, I mean, we got Sans, we got
Yeah.
Cuphead that basically look like characters. But even other ones like Altair and Goemon, like, who in a million years would have thought Mystical Ninja
Yeah.
would have been in this game? But he is. So I actually don't think, I think
Yeah.
Arl is a potential possibility for, like, a Mii Fighter in the future.
Right. If they ever do standalone third-party stage DLC, I also think a Puyo Puyo stage would be almost a lock.
Yeah.
I think Arl has a chance, but I don't know. Like the fact that it's just such a niche character in the West makes me a little hesitant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that 5 or 6 for you?
That was 5. So the
5.
sixth one,
Who would be your last?
the sixth one, this is kind of a wild card, and I know that it probably doesn't have a big shot of happening, but it is a Sony rep, and
Okay.
it is
Okay. All right.
Toro Inoue, the mascot of Sony in Japan,
The cats?
the cat from
Yeah.
Okay.
Sony All Stars
Yeah,
Battle
Duque.
Royale, who's been in those games, Tekken X, Street Fighter.
All right. Okay.
But-
we can toss Konami Man in there too, I guess. Whatever.
Well, I mean, see, Toro has a moveset and everything, and it would be a nice Sony representative. I kind of have a bias towards the Toro games, but Doko Demo Ishio, but I do think Toro might have a small shot, even if it is.
That is a bold prediction.
I know.
You're like, it's a Sony character and one that most of us haven't heard of.
Yes. For Toro, I think it'd be more representing the brand than it would be a specific character.
So kind of like Pac-Man?
Yeah, kind of like that.
My Sony character is Qbert.
Is Qbert technically owned by Sony?
Qbert.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then there you go. Great.
Yeah.
Really? I did not know that.
A Qbert stage would be pretty amazing, though, now that I'm thinking about it.
It's bizarre
that
because it's
would
not
be.
owned by Sony Entertainment though. Somehow it's I
Oh.
think it's owned by like Sony Pictures or something like ridiculous. There's some
Oh,
weird acquisitions
strange.
that went
What?
on.
Oh, is
Yeah.
that
Really weird.
is that because they needed
For pixels?
Qbert for pixels?
Oh, wow.
This character's public domain. We can't have that.
It's because Qbert, just a little history lesson, was acquired by Columbia somehow, and then Sony Pictures acquired Columbia. So yeah, it's just like
That's
weird
that's
stuff. Yeah.
very strange.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I think for the sake of brevity, so this isn't a 3-hour-long discussion, we should talk about the characters that are in your list, and if they come up again in our list, we won't really have to talk about them again. I think it's a pretty good list. The thing about Rhythm Heaven is I'm not sure. Like, Nintendo can do whatever they want, but I have a feeling that any first-party DLC is going to tie into something that's a recent release.
That's what
Yeah, that's the problem. I think there would have to be a new game.
I think people are going to be angry with something that I'm going to bring up from my list because it's going to be from a recent release, but I feel like of everything on my list, especially after seeing what just happened with Byleth, this one character is probably going to be the most likely of any of these. So,
I feel like with Rhythm Heaven, it's very, very likely that Rhythm Heaven was considered for Smash 4 for 3DS and Wii U. It has its own universe, it has its own enemy in Smash Run. And there's that heavily prolific leak that might have been outdated information or might have been false.
Gamatsu.
Yep.
Yeah, Gamatsu. But Rhythm Heaven is in a weird place right now where the series is kind of dormant. And that may be because the last release of Rhythm Heaven, I believe it was Megamix.
Yeah, Megamix.
Didn't do well.
Well, I think the series is also in dormant because isn't the main composer or like musician behind it, isn't he suffering from throat cancer right now? Because I know he took a step back. I don't know the guy's name off the top of my head, but he had mentioned that he was sick and was taking a step back from like making music and things. And I'm assuming since his music is such a big part of that series that they can't really go on without it.
Clarification: the Rhythm Heaven composer, Sunku, I believe. Sunku. They had their vocal cords removed in 2015.
Oh, wow. Man.
So that was 5 years ago. So they're probably recovered by now.
I hope they are.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there will be a Switch continuation of it, but I think it does deserve some kind of representation in Smash outside of just spirits.
I do too.
At some point.
And I think it's one of those characters that, if we were talking about, hey, they just announced a brand new Smash, I would say that's definitely in the base game.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if I see it for DLC.
But as of now, I don't know about DLC.
Yeah.
I think Bandana Waddle Dee would probably have a better shot I think a new Kirby game honestly is either on the way this year or next year.
Sure.
Because that's just how the Kirby timeline's been working out. There's been a game like every other year about. So I'm thinking a Bandana Waddle Dee might be likely if they announce a Kirby game.
I think there's other Kirby characters that Sakurai might find more interesting from a mechanics standpoint, because a big point he made in this last direct
that too.
was that, hey, everybody's brought new mechanics.
They have to be fun to play.
He's not like we did we did with K. Rool has the super armor on everything. The Belmonts have the whip physics.
Yeah,
every one of the DLC characters has very clear new mechanics. I'm not saying you couldn't. You could definitely think of something interesting to do.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He seems like much more of a character that would benefit once again from a new Smash game. Although I'd be super happy with him actually. I wouldn't have any problem. I think the fact that Kirby hasn't had a new character since Brawl is kind of bizarre, considering that the game's, it's a series that, hey, it sold a whole lot more than Fire Emblem, for instance. It's a really big series.
Exactly.
It is strange though. Kirby's in a weird position where I do feel like people do complain about representation of like so many Fire Emblem characters in Smash Brothers. But realistically, if you look at like Nintendo's heavy hitters nowadays, this obviously was not the case like in the days of Melee or even Brawl.
Right.
But like Fire Emblem really is one of their biggest series now, so it makes sense that it has as many characters, if not more so. Well, I think it has the same amount of characters as Zelda, doesn't it? If we're not including Echo Fighters?
More.
Oh, it has more. Wow. Okay, well that maybe is a little much.
Zelda has 6 characters? Zelda has 6 characters.
But I mean, it still makes sense to me that they would have as many as like, Pokemon or Mario or something like that.
Yeah, it is definitely. It's also a character-heavy franchise, too.
Yeah, totally.
The thing I'll say about Fire Emblem is that I feel like the mobile game is what pushes it over, because Three Houses still sold like 2.3 million. So I feel like sales-wise, it kind of lines up to like a Metroid-sized franchise. Breath of the Wild sold about I think almost 4 million. Let me see, 3.84 million. But it makes so much money on Fire Emblem Heroes, like so much. That's
what,
that's
Breath
where I
of
think
the
a lot.
Wild? You mean
no,
Three Houses?
Three Houses. I said Three Houses sold 2.29 million. Breath of the Wild sold, I think
over
3.
10.
Well, yeah,
Over 10
well,
million.
Did it? So yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Breath of the Wild and Three Houses are the best-selling games in their franchise.
Right, and
Wow.
Breath of the Wild sold like almost 4 times as what Three Houses did.
Yeah.
So it's still not like Fire Emblem per game that it comes out. The actual sales of the games aren't that huge. I feel like it's more of a valuable franchise because of Heroes. And it's still like a big franchise. I would put it like as, if it wasn't for the mobile stuff, I'd put it as probably one of their like B+ franchises. Like I said, around a Metroid level now.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's still a couple.
Yeah,
like I feel like Zelda
Zelda.
needs more rad. Like
Totally.
you don't want to say need. It's just, but we'll talk about that later,
Yeah.
I guess. Maybe when we get to my list. All right. So, any other comments on any of the characters from Cody's list?
Yeah, mine are kind of out there.
The Sony rep's pretty out
Well,
there.
I do think like Gino is the one that stands out among all the characters, right? I feel like universally across all of our lists. I don't want to predict, but I have a feeling all of us are going to say Gino.
I have Gino on my list,
Yeah.
and I think it's. I'll bring this up when I talk about my list. Actually, no. Let me just talk about my list now. If I'm going to bring this up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Go for it.
yeah, let's do it. So there are very few third-party Mii costumes that aren't in the game right now.
Mhm.
It's literally just the two Square Enix ones that came with Cloud initially. So the Chocobo hat and Gino.
Yep.
Then there's the 2 Monster Hunter armor sets. And then there's the 3 Namco ones. Heihachi, Lloyd Irving, and Gil from Tower of Daruga. I think that the Namco one is super telling because there's been opportunities to add them multiple times. Like you could have put Heihachi in with Terry. You could have put Lloyd in when you did any of the JRPG people. Like you could have done that, but you didn't. So that makes me think that they're holding them off for a purpose, and that would be a Namco character. I'm not sure who that character is, but if I had to guess, I'd say Lloyd Irving. I feel like it's very, like, a very requested character. Yeah, sure, it's another anime sword character, but he's got a built-in moveset from his game. We know that Sakurai's acknowledged him before, and the biggest competition, I think, in Namco would be Heihachi from Tekken, who I can also see. So it's kind of like a toss-up, but I'm going to give the edge to Lloyd just because I feel like, well, I don't know, because I did say that Sakurai said he wants to introduce new mechanics, and what better opportunity than to try to actually make some sense of Tekken mechanics in a 2D platformer. But I don't know. I feel like when push comes to shove, I have to choose one, and I'm gonna choose Lloyd. Besides that, I did have Gino on my list. I mentioned Monster Hunter before, but I think that Byleth kind of takes what Monster Hunter's moveset would be, and I feel like the developers aren't too keen on it, so I didn't include them. And plus, the Capcom costumes have been spread out all throughout the release, so it's like they're just coming later, I'm sure. But the Square Enix ones, they're leaving Gino out for something, I feel like.
Oh,
I don't know.
definitely.
Yeah, he's either going to be a Mii costume with Forest Maze, or he's going to be playable. And just because I know Sakurai likes the character, the fans like the character, the second pass I feel like needs its own banjo.
Yeah,
and that banjo is going to be Gino.
Totally agree.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's really kind of weird that there's 6 characters. So maybe the extra one is like a super highly requested one.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, to me too, if you think back at like Melee, Brawl, Smash 4, the characters that were repeated again and again and again, I think like the names that kept coming up were Ridley, King K. Rool, and Gino. Like, those three in particular have been riding that wave since Melee, where people have been heavily requesting them. And Banjo, too, honestly. And so I feel like to have those characters in there and to not bring in Gino, who's a Mario character on top of it, it's like he's coming in on a franchise that obviously is Nintendo's biggest. So naturally, it wouldn't be too weird to add a Mario character to it. I truly, truly believe Gino's going to be in this game.
Right. Me too. After that, I'm going to go with some more third parties on my list. This one spot shifted a lot with Arle and all sorts of characters in my mind from different companies. But I'm going to go with Dante. I know Dante had a lot going on in this last. A lot of rumors pointing towards him, and so maybe it's just that he's stuck in my mind. Him and Doomslayer, who did not make this list this time, because I feel like it's very Japan focused.
Yeah, there's a lot writing behind Dante right now. I believe the biggest piece of evidence for Dante is the suspiciously timed interview with Hideaki Itsuno, where he said, well, before Dante can get into Smash, he'd have to be on a Nintendo platform, right? And then, like, less than a few months later, Devil May Cry 1 was out on the Switch, and that's like, ports don't happen overnight like that.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think it lines up. I think he's a hype addition. He's not very associated with Nintendo, and he would probably break the game as much as Bayonetta did. But hopefully he's the last character, and then there's no more balance patches. He just ruins. Just ruins the competitive scene.
Repeat of that last Evo with Bayonettas.
And I know once again he's a quote-unquote sword character, but I don't think that matters for Dante, because he's got so much more he can work with. So many weapons. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Right. I made a moveset for him. I've made 2 movesets for him. One of them heavily uses a sword and his gauntlets. The other one uses a weapon from at least every weapon from the series except for one of them, but it's like ridiculous. There's just so much to pull from.
Yeah.
That like no matter what they do, unless they go with the most vanilla set possible, he's gonna be a really fun character.
Yeah.
I agree, and I think the sword thing's overblown anyways. I think actually, and I'm going to look this up afterwards, I think Corrin might use their sword less than Byleth does. Like the majority of Corrin's moves don't actually use the sword, and even when they do, it's like the dash attack where they're doing a circle and like they're spinning around. Like, but
that was
people
one of the
still say
funniest things in that trailer, where Sothis is like, "Oh, too many sword fighters are there?
Too many swordsmen." So he's all like, "Now I'm a woman."
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
And it's really funny because I did a poll right after, and I'm like, so what first party would you want? And Xenoblade won. And there are non-sword using characters in Xenoblade, but a lot of people are thinking Rex and Pyra. So once again, it's not anime swords, people. It's Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
Just admit it, guys. Admit it.
Yeah.
Admit what you really mean when you say that. And like I said, I actually don't have a problem with Byleth. I just think the timing of it was not the greatest.
Yeah.
but moving on.
This is what they were originally going to end on. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. It's just like pre-release with Incineroar and Ken in a way.
Yeah, kind of.
They put out King K. Rool and then didn't really have much to end on.
Which is why Gino will be character 2 and not character 6.
Or character 1.
E3.
Yeah. So, okay, going through the list, another one that was rumored a lot earlier, but I actually supported way before any rumors, wrote an article about it in like 2016, is I think Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden has a great chance. And it's just, there's 2 companies that Nintendo have just really great relationships with that aren't in Smash, and that's Ubisoft, who just got a bunch of Mii costumes, and unfortunately, I think there's a chance for Rayman, but I don't see it. And then Tecmo Koei. Who made...
Yeah, they made Ninja Gaiden Dead or Alive.
Yes.
But also helped with development with 3 Houses. So Byleth is right there. Look at that. There's the
They basically developed 3 Houses.
Yeah.
They did. They made 3 Houses. They made a Heroes game for Zelda and for Fire Emblem. They helped develop a mainline Metroid game in Other M, and then included Ridley in Dead or Alive with Ryu Hayabusa.
Yeah.
And
They did Pokemon's Conquest, so they actually have made a Pokemon game as well. Like, they've and if you go to Ubisoft, they're a company that's also worked with a lot of Nintendo IP,
especially lately.
Yeah, but then on top of that, I feel like Sakurai has a better time or better ability to communicate, I would say, with Japanese developers, and he's already talked to Tecmo Koei because he's even tweeted out that they helped out with the video and this and that.
Yeah, they gave him a pre-release copy too.
Right. PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale actually had the rights to Hayabusa, so they can't be hard to get because nobody wanted to give them anything. So I feel like it'd be easy to license. It's a company that it's the next biggest Japanese company.
Yeah. And
Ryu Hayabusa fits the best. He's he's also kind of like the last NES icon. And he has a sword, but he's a ninja, and we don't have a
moveset like that aside from like Sheik, but Sheik doesn't use a sword, so hey.
Exactly.
Really.
And do you know what's funny? I was reading I was actually watching a video about the development of PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. With one of the developers said that Hayabusa, actually one of his specials was a stance change to use his sword and then to have to fight with his fist. So he had like a DOA moveset.
Yeah, DOA.
Yeah,
he had a DOA moveset and a sword moveset.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, and since I heard that, I'm like, that sounds awesome. Plus, he's got a bunch of ninja magic, and like Dante, he uses a bunch of moves in his different weapons in his game, so I think he could be fun.
If they do not have a suicide recovery for Ryu Hayabusa, that is the Izuna drop.
Yes.
I'm refunding my game.
Yes, command grab up special. Or command grab side special, either way.
Yeah.
That's a suicide move. Needs to happen. Okay, so then we're going to get to my final two choices. I think we're going to get some first parties. I think Xenoblade has had a really rough time with Smash DLC because it keeps releasing too early, and then Fire Emblem keeps releasing at exactly the right time. So I don't think Rex and Pyra are going to make it because I think they're too much of, they're too old at this point. They already have spirits.
Yeah, Rex is out of the question considering they bundled a costume of him with the original Fighter's Pass. And it's the only way to get that costume. So if they were going to have him be DLC ever, they wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I mean, you might see somebody from Torna, maybe like Jin or somebody. Like
I feel like that's too low-key, though.
Yeah,
See,
I agree.
The workaround for me is I feel like they could do Mithra with what's his name in Torna? I'm a Xenoblade fan and I can't even think of his name right now. It's because it's early in the morning for me. But like her own, like not owner, but like oh man, I can't even think of what they're called. Like the blade users. I'm screwing up all over the place. This is drivers. Jesus Christ. This is why I don't record at 9:30 in the morning. So I feel like Mithra and her driver from Torna could potentially happen if they wanted to include something from Xenoblade 2. But I agree with you guys completely. Even though I'm like a huge Rex and Pyra person, I really want them in the game. I think it's a little bit too late for them.
Right, but you know who it might be the right time for? And this is kind of weird to say, is when Nintendo finished their last Direct, they made a big deal about Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. If they're really trying to push that game, which they might, Fiora might actually have a shot to get in.
I think so too.
Yeah. So Fiora's on my list as kind of that surprise first party that you can actually show off in the middle of a Direct that you wouldn't even know because
would she be her normal mode or her spoiler mode?
It would have to be. Well, she's already in her spoiler mode for Shulk's Final Smash.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
And she's already been in it in crossovers and Project X and all that.
Oh yeah, she's always in her spoiler mode. That is true. That is true.
So I think Fiora in spoiler mode, and she's a JRPG protagonist, but doesn't really use swords. She has some giant knives and a lot of drones and lasers and other sci-fi type stuff. So it's kind of like a more relevant Cosmos when people were talking about that character.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
So I'm gonna go for her for 5, and 6 is kind of a cheat because I'm gonna say I don't know who the character is, but I feel like we might get a Zelda rep that is a character from Breath of the Wild 2. Because that's another game that they're going to be pushing.
Oh, yeah.
And Zelda's another series that people really want to rep for. And it just, the timing kind of lines up.
very good possibility.
Yep. So that's my list. I was Breath of the Wild 2, Fiora, Dante, Hayabusa, Lloyd, and Gino.
Good list.
Okay. So let's move on. Let's save Roger for last. So
you're saving me as Challenger Pack 4? All right.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Do you think for Breath of the Wild 2 they can include Skeleton Ganondorf in specs? There you go. You finally got your magic wielding Ganondorf. He's a husk.
Well, to be fair, I mean, how many versions of Link do we have? We got 3 plus all the Mii Fighter costumes. You might as well do rehydrated Ganondorf for whatever he's going to be in Breath of the Wild 2. That'd be awesome.
I think he's going to stay the skeletal husk for the whole game.
You think so?
Yeah. That'd be really cool though if he was like just a mage character.
Yeah, if they actually included like a magic Ganon as a different type of Ganon.
I hear Xander in my head right now just saying Zombie Ganondorf.
It's really ironic because the Ganondorf we have in Smash right now is the Ocarina of Time Ganondorf, who is purely a magic user, but he's entirely like melee fist.
Yeah, he didn't
sword guy.
He didn't even use
Smash.
a sword in Ocarina, did he?
No,
not once.
No, that sword is from a tech demo.
Yeah.
It's so weird. They picked a version of Ganondorf that has never used a sword.
Are you sure that's Ocarina of Time Ganondorf and not?
Yeah, it is.
And not Space World demo Ganondorf?
Right.
Space World demo Ganondorf is the one that we have in Melee.
Oh, that is
it's
true.
literally the same model. Yeah.
Man. By the way, as everyone, I think I said this before, but Warlock Punch is literally just the same as Byleth Down B, right? It's the same move.
Yeah,
kind of.
I think the down B might be more Hatchet Man.
Yeah, but it's also kind of like Falcon Punch with super armor, and that's literally Warlock Punch.
Hatchet Warlock Man.
Hatchet Man
Punch.
Super armor too, though. Hatchet Warlock Man Punch.
Man Punch. All right, cool. You sold me on Byleth with that name.
There you go.
I'm gonna call it.
I'm gonna get the repeats out of the way first. Dante and Ryu Hayabusa are on my list.
Cool.
I've been supporting Dante for a long time, and I've actually been supporting Ryu Hayabusa for a long time. He's been on my list since before Smash 4, so that's a cool thing. He should have been in by now. Dante was actually one that I didn't consider until lately because I kind of the series was not a thing for a decade, and I never really considered him as an option until like Devil May Cry 5 got announced. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, I love this series.
Yeah, some people forget that after DMC it kind of went silent for a long time.
After DMC 4, the series went silent for like a long time.
The question I want to pose to you though is if we get Dante in the game, are we going to get DMC Dante as an alt costume?
Oh god. It depends. He's had an alt costume in every appearance after DMC Devil May Cry. So unfortunately, I consider that a likely reality, but I hope he won't. Next on the list is Travis Touchdown.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Suda51 is the only developer we know of who routinely asks for his character to be in Smash whenever he meets Sakurai in person. And like they're good enough friends. They see each other a lot. They saw each other recently, like just last year. Even posted a photo from that time. Suda was one of the headlines at the Switch 2017 presentation event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Travis Strikes Again was a big Switch, not a big, but a Switch exclusive that had a relatively noticeable profile. It wasn't like a very big game, but it was a game that people knew was releasing and came out. And No More Heroes 3 is a big game. It's the return to the main series after a decade of inactivity. And that's going to be Switch exclusive. Suda has a pretty good relationship with Nintendo and a good relationship with Sakurai. Yep. So eventually his begging is going to go somewhere.
I think so.
Travis would also be an interesting character because he could bring new stuff to the table. He has his beam katana mechanic, which they would have to censor the recharging animation for. It'd have to be completely different. I believe we posted on our last discussion that he could just like waggle his beam katana like Wii remote, and that'd be a really funny meta joke. But you could have the beam katana, which would make his moves completely useless after it drains out. He could also be a grappler character, because I know Suda wants to push the whole wrestling aspect of his character, and it would help make him a bit more unique.
I think a sword character with a command grab sounds frightening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Travis also has 3 types of swords. He's got the dual swords, the big sword, and the bigger sword. So he could be 3 sword characters in one.
I feel like Travis would be a really fun meta character to put in the game, and he could mess with a lot of the Smash mechanics that are traditional in a
Totally.
meta way.
He'd be the Deadpool of Smash Bros.
Essentially, yeah.
Travis kind of has his own witch time. It's called the Dark Step, where if you dodge a move right when it's about to hit, you slow down time and you can do really fast attacks. Before Bayonetta, even it was a year before Bayonetta, so that's a thing. We could be seeing another meta killer.
Oh man.
So a sword character with a really good throw game and witch time. Got it.
Yeah. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Next up on my list is because of the last direct, because we saw 2 Ubisoft costumes, I think Rayman's possible. I think Rayman's on the table because we've got his biggest competition out of the way now. The rabbits are a me costume. We're safe. We're safe.
And yeah, Assassin's Creed also represented by a me costume. So.
Yeah. So Ubisoft's remaining big franchise that would fit in Smash Brothers
Prince of Persia
is Rayman.
Oh
Rayman.
god.
Prince of Persia. Oh my god, that's we haven't had a new game since that cell shaded reboot.
Yeah, I used to love that series. Anyways, continue.
But yeah, Rayman is kind of prolific. He got a trophy in Smash Wii U, which was weird. He and I think Commander
Video
got trophies.
Who?
Yeah.
I just realized that's a good choice for a me costume, me brawler.
Yeah, totally.
It's a good choice for a new
Totally.
costume.
Definitely.
But yeah, Rayman. It's been a while since we've seen a new Rayman game. We haven't seen a Rayman game since the one on the Wii U, aside from the ports.
Well, there was a mobile game right after that, like a
Was there a
Rayman,
mobile
like a
game?
Rayman Run.
Rayman Run. That
really?
sounds realistic, but
Yeah, I think so.
I've never heard of it.
I've certainly never played it.
Rayman Jungle Run came out
Rayman Jungle
on
Run.
mobile
Oh, boy.
devices.
Mobile devices.
88% on Metacritic,
Okay.
guys.
I think a Shin Megami Tensei character is likely, because Shin Megami Tensei 5 is apparently still
coming.
in development. And they could do a similar thing like they did with Dragon Quest and promote the newest entry with a character that represents the franchise and stuff, with the newest protagonist as the default.
Man, it would be wild to have a Persona and a Shin Megami Tensei character in Smash.
It's really suspicious because Joker came with no Shin Megami Tensei content whatsoever.
True, yeah.
He just came with purely Persona 5 stuff. Yeah.
And I remember a very early leak for Joker. There was a really, really early leak that mentioned Jack Frost being like the taunt that shows up. Yeah, and then we ended up getting Morgana. Right.
I feel like a Shin Megami Tensei character is possible, either in the line of hero or just Jack Frost. I think Jack Frost is a really possible Mii Fighter costume, though.
Ooh, that'd be a nice me fighter.
More likely
Yeah.
as a Mii Fighter, Mii Brawler. But hero, in the vein of Shin Megami Tensei, we can call him the Messiah, because that's what all of them are in universe, would work. Yeah, Shin Megami Tensei 5 is the default, and then pick 3 other ones. There's only 8 protagonists they can pick from anyway, so it's not as hard to pick a selection, and most of them have the same body type and use the same weapons, so it would work. My last character, though. I think another Capcom character is likely, just because they were completely absent for the first pass. It cannot be Resident Evil, because our 4 most possible Resident Evil characters are off the table. They took them down in one fell swoop. So I think Phoenix Wright could be likely. I'm very iffy on Phoenix Wright. I think that he's not quite big enough to see a spot in Smash Brothers, but also at the same time, there's a really big legacy with Ace Attorney games on Nintendo platforms. They've almost exclusively been originally on Nintendo platforms, releasing later as mobile games, and recently the trilogy came to every system on the face of the planet. But Phoenix Wright is like a big kind of requested character. A lot of people have been wanting Phoenix Wright since Brawl, even. And Marvel vs. Capcom showed that it's possible to make a moveset based around him, and they could very easily translate that same kind of central mechanic of gathering evidence to unlock your moveset into Smash. It would require a lot more work than the average character, because he would need different moves for a lot of his stuff,
Right.
but it's possible that they could translate it just by making the moves slightly stronger after you collect enough evidence.
I think with Phoenix Wright, I think they also want to not make him too similar to how he would be in Marvel
Sure.
Versus Capcom
Yeah.
3, and that
That's true.
it would be like that. That's one of my biggest things. Is all like, what could you do with him in Smash that they didn't already do there? That would make him kind of a unique character, you know?
I like the evidence thing where like you go around the stage and every time you attack somebody or something,
Yeah.
your attack power grows the next time you try to KO that person would be kind of funny.
They could make his moveset even more like slapstick and cartoony. Like, he could have the step ladder as a recovery. Get into arguments about whether it's a ladder or a step ladder. In Marvel vs. Capcom, the main thing is that most of his moveset is locked. He only has like 6 moves until you activate his turnabout mode. I don't remember the names exactly for the modes, but I know there's 3 where you start in investigation mode, you gather evidence, then you go into your normal mode, and you have all of your moveset, and then you can go into turnabout mode, where you're super powered. All of your moves are extremely strong, and you can use a projectile pointer finger as an attack. He also attacks with speech bubbles, which is fun.
I'm surprised you didn't mention his final smash being objection going into the courtroom and then literally the judge slamming down his gavel and knocking you out. It seems like that'd be really obviously his final smash would be the judge.
Yeah, they want Final Smashes to be shorter, so unfortunately he can't have the thing that he does in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, where he indicts every single individual character in a crime. They could do that, and it would be like a lot shorter, but yeah, he could literally have a giant gavel come down.
Yeah.
With but yeah, there's my 6. I believe that is 6.
It is.
Yeah, I think Travis, out of all of them you said, is one that I can really see happening, especially somewhere in the middle of the past. Like, he's popular with the fan base, the creator wants it, he has unique moves.
Yep.
It's just, he would, I guess, technically be an indie rep.
Oh, I guess, yeah, technically.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah. He would be our first indie rep. Yeah. They've been published by...
You could have all of the shirts that have other indie companies on
yes,
them, too.
That would be awesome.
Technically, No More Heroes is owned by Marvelous Entertainment and Grasshopper Manufacture. It's like a dual ownership. And every game except for Travis Strikes Again is basically it's like in between an AA game and a AAA game.
Yeah.
AAA these days is like hundreds of workers working on a project. No More Heroes 3 has like 100 workers working on it, so it's not quite AAA, but
it's not as small as most indie titles.
It's definitely not an indie title like Travis Strikes Again, who only had like 10 workers or so. making the game.
Well, now you said Marvelous, I just realized we're almost definitely getting a Harvest Moon farmer.
Oh, you see, you joke, but I actually would really want a Harvest Moon farmer. I think that'd be such a cute idea, like throwing chickens and then, maybe proposing to people, and using the sickle and all the other farming tools. I think it'd be really cute.
Yeah, the final smash is you marry the person and then you live an entire life and then they die of old age.
Right.
It's just a really nice cinematic.
The forest sprites as well, too. I think they could have the little, the sprites come out there.
Yeah, but like I said, I think Travis is good. Rayman, I don't know. It makes sense, and I'd be down for Rayman. I just don't see it happening. I'd be happy if it did, though.
I feel like with Rayman, the possibilities there because they did work with Rare and Microsoft, Western developers. So they've shown that they've been able to do it just fine.
Yeah, and Ubisoft made a Mario game. They essentially made a Star
Ubisoft
Fox
made
game.
a Mario game. Yeah, they've been working with Star Fox, Mario. They've got a good relationship with Nintendo. They were the last third-party developer to stop making Wii U games.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I do think it's weird that we didn't get. I understand that a full Rayman brawler costume wouldn't work, but like a hat or something, I'm surprised we didn't get anything at all.
Yeah. The absence is suspicious. While we were wrong about the absence of Astral Chain meaning anything, because that's off the table now.
But we were right about the absence of
Three
Three
Houses. I always said going into it before it was going to be all third parties and Fire Emblem.
I don't know if you heard any.
I started leaning towards Dante at the end because I got hopeful.
You were our last discussion. You said Dimitri, I think, but still, you said that.
I said Dimitri at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like if the character was chosen after the launch of Three Houses, it would have been Dimitri because he's the most popular. But they've gone with Byleth because he and she are the uniting tissue that connects all of the different branches of the story.
So no matter what you're playing, you'll know who they are. But I don't know if you were ever following any of the things we were talking about previously, Roger. But on several times, we brought up the fact that, hey, isn't it weird how Pokemon, Astral Chain, and Three Houses don't have spirits yet? Because you need to keep those spirits for the spirit board.
Interesting you say that about Pokemon, because there may or may not be a Pokemon rep on my list. So there you go.
Ooh, well, before you start, then I'm going to say I'm dubious of a Gen 8 Pokemon because they already had a spirit. They already had a bunch of spirits released. So then what are they going to put on the spirit board?
Oh, believe me, I got an answer for you. Don't you worry about a thing.
All right. Well, that's a good transition.
Yeah. So first off, I'm going to start also with the ones that have been talked about already because I feel like we've gone over them time and time again. But real quick, I guess the one thing I want to say too before I reveal my characters is I truly thought the first pass was all going to be third party and that the additional DLC were going to be characters from franchises already represented. So I had even said in videos dating back to months ago that I did think Byleth would eventually get in the game. I do think Gino would eventually get in the game as well. And I did think we were going to get some type of Sword and Shield representative Pokemon, but I thought they were going to be additional DLC sold separately, similar to how Piranha Plant is sold now, where you just get the character and then the music tracks or whatever go to the stage for that franchise, right? So the Fire Emblem music, for example, is playable on all the Fire Emblem stages. We know that now. And so I assumed that would be the case, but it just wouldn't be part of a fighter pass. But now Byleth has really changed everything, and specifically to the Mii fighters and those really amazing costumes have changed everything for me too. And so
And Pass 2 has stages, so it's also
exactly.
something to think of now.
So, real quick, I think they're going to open with Gino at E3. I think Gino is going to be their E3 announcement. I think it's the big blowout way to start this next Fighter Pass off, a character everybody wants. Totally agree, Forest Maze is going to be the stage, but I actually don't think we're going to get that many songs with Gino. I think we're only going to get about 2, considering Square Enix's relationship with Smash Brothers, only including a couple songs. And realistically, if you could play all the Mario music on a new Mario stage, why else would you need to add that much music? So I think that's going to happen with Gino, but I think E3 is going to bring us 2 reveals, and I think Gino will drop during E3 week, and I think that the next character will drop at the end of 2020, and I think the character that's going to be released alongside Gino or revealed alongside Gino is also a character that was brought up earlier. Another character that when I was thinking about putting together this list, like an interesting stage, cool mechanics, character that's been wanted for a long time, I also said Travis Touchdown, which I think was really funny. I was waiting for somebody to say Travis, and I'm like, really shocked this hasn't come up yet, because another really funny thing I think could happen is when Travis KOs somebody and they fly off the stage, coins would come flying out. Because one really weird thing that hasn't been added to Smash Brothers yet, this version of Smash Brothers, which has been in almost every other version, is Coin Battle. And I thought, well, that would be a really funny thing to throw in there with Travis Touchdown as like a Coin Battle mode, or having Coin Battle as part of his, classic mode or something like that. Again, you guys brought up that Travis is more of like a meta character, and so I think they could make those jokes with him. I think Santa Destroy is obviously going to be a stage if they end up putting him in. I mean, it's got to be. And like you guys said, it's like Suda literally went to Sakurai time and time again and said, put Travis in Smash, and to the point where before this game he's like, I'm not letting Sakurai get away this time. So I think Travis is also very, very likely. So there's the 2 I think are going to be shown off at E3, and I think those are also 2 repeats. I'm going to save another repeat for later because I'm going to bring up this character. I know you guys have already talked about him a little bit, but I don't think he'd be coming next. I want to actually talk about something that is sorely missing from almost all of our lists and from the original Challenger Pass. And you could say, well, yeah, Byleth has male and female Byleth. We need a girl. Bro, we need a girl in this challenge.
Yeah, we do.
We don't get a girl...
That's why I suggested Arl.
Hey, man. I had Fiora on my list.
I know, and I know some of you guys said Fiora. Sure, Fiora or like a Xenoblade character or something. But realistically, I was trying to think of characters that are like big name girls who would really make a splash. Because I think that's I've seen a lot of people talking about this issue like online, saying, "Oh, there's not enough female representation." That's an issue with the gaming industry as a whole. There's just not enough girls headlining games.
We have
that's fair.
We have a bird that's used for a weapon, and we have an ox. That's plenty.
And so at first, when we had the introduction of first-party characters again with Byleth, I thought, and this is just a dream pick for me, I'm like, man, Twintel would be amazing. Because I love ARMS. I think Twintel would be sick. You just like have this really long reach character. But then I was thinking about it, and I went, you know what? ARMS is probably not coming back for a while. I can't imagine that they would put an ARMS character in now. And I certainly don't think like Twintel would get in before Ribbon Girl or Springman, as much as I like Twintel. And so the one female character that really stands out that I think would absolutely make a splash, people would love this, is 2B from Nier Automata. I think 2B would be such a sick character. Because I see people talking about Lara Croft, and like Lara would maybe be cool, but the possibilities for 2B, for a Nier stage with like the abandoned amusement park, for the music, like people, to the point where there are concerts that play throughout the world with the Nier music. I just think Nier would make such sense as a playable character. Throw 2B in there. Also, 2B sort of representing that relationship with Platinum Games as well. Of course, we already have Bayonetta, but really, I think like 2B is the one character that just clicks for me, that says, it goes along with, they could do combo mechanics, but you could also have sword attacks, but bullet attacks as well, and it's switching between all the different attack types. 2B would be great, man. Really.
2B is a character I would be for, but I don't see her happening considering we got Mai Shiranui shut out for very similar reasons.
Well, the thing about that is I think there's a lot of side boob action going on with Mai. They could easily just like make 2B's skirt a little longer.
Yeah, I think 2B could just get the Bayonetta treatment.
Put a void under her skirt.
Yeah, right, and put a void under her skirt. Yeah, do the Rosalina Cosmos thing that happens where you flip with Rosalina and you just see the stars.
It's funny that you say that because I told you with my third parties, I had a lot of people that were on the fringe. And the 4 I had were Doom Guy, because Bethesda, there's a good relationship there. Arlie Naja, because people brought it up before. Lara Croft, who you brought up because she's an absolute icon. And 2B, because 2B is such it's a hot property right now. Like it's a very, and she also has such like a recognizable design.
Totally.
Like it's a character you see and you immediately know who it is. And I think that's an important thing when you're adding a third party.
Hopefully Square Enix doesn't get too stingy with music again.
So the interesting thing about that is I feel like because it's not like a Final Fantasy type franchise or like a really big property, I think they actually wouldn't be as crazy in terms of the music as they were with like Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. I do feel like, especially because a lot of that music is like licensed out for concerts and stuff, that if they end up just saying Sakurai make a bunch of remixes, they totally would.
Isn't the issue with Square Enix too that the way that they're structured, that the actual composers retain rights to the music?
Right.
So I'm not sure who
actually
made the music for Nier, to be honest with you. I don't know who the composers were, but I think it might be up to them.
Probably be a similar deal to the last two Square Enix characters.
It's definitely not anyone as prolific as the Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest composers.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
The people who are very, very, very uppity and kind of pompous about their status.
Yeah. Nobu's very he's known to be very protective of his music, and the Dragon Quest guy whose name escapes me right now is very much about getting his money back whenever his music is used.
I looked up the name really quick because I wanted to give credit to the guy who does the incredible music in Nier. Their name is Kichi Okabe, but I can't see any other information. Let's see. Best known for his work on Nier, as well as Tekken 3. Interesting. Okay. Well, there you go.
There are 3 composers for Nier Automata, so
we gotta find them then.
Between them, depending on songs.
We need to start letter writing campaigns. Please let your music in Smash.
Right.
Keiichi Okabe, Keigo Hoashi, and Kuniyuki Takahashi.
Nice.
There we go. There's the 3.
We need Nier Automata music in this game, man. And like you said, I think 2B, the one thing that really stands out to me about this character is, again, the design, right? That is a really recognizable design that almost transcends the popularity of the series itself. And I know that's a really important thing when choosing characters, is like their icon status, right? Because I think people trolled about the Sans thing for a long time, but I was always on the side of we're getting something Undertale in this game just because of what an impact that made on the industry. Yeah. Yep. So Sans was not a huge surprise. I mean, obviously I was shocked and excited when it got announced, but I wasn't surprised that it got in like a lot of people were.
Yeah, and I'll be honest. I mean, I don't think a character needs to be chosen just based off of gender or anything like that. But with 11 DLC characters,
you need
12
a girl, man.
You
need a girl.
I was about to say,
Come on.
To not have at least one primarily female character is a little weird. There's plenty of great female gaming characters that can be included.
Yeah. So
2B's one of them.
That was one of my choices. Now I'm gonna bring
one
up
last thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Interesting.
Keiichi Okabe has composed for Smash before.
Oh, really now?
Well,
then interesting. Maybe he'll have a lunch date with Sakurai and say, hey, let's make something happen. That'd be cool, then. So the next thing I want to bring up, this is another repeat character that I forgot who brought it up earlier, but Phoenix Wright. I like Phoenix Wright. To me, I was going back and forth between Capcom reps and between Dante and between Phoenix, and I think if we get 2B, we're probably not going to get Dante. I think like to have 2B and Bayonetta and Dante all in the game, I think would be really interesting, but I do feel like their playstyles would all be kind of very similar, like combo-based sort of mechanics. And so for me, I think Phoenix just makes a lot of sense and feels more like a Smash character. And I do feel like you guys said, a Capcom rep is needed for this next pass. I think we're going to get at least somebody else. There's so many other characters that they have under their wing that they could throw in. Amaterasu would be really cool, Beautiful Joe. But the one big one is Phoenix to me. And I think he could represent, like you said, either like an evidence gathering mechanic or like a goofy speech bubble attack type mechanic thing. And the stage for him would make sense to be the courtroom. I feel like
could probably have a lot of cameos.
It'd be really cool to be fighting on the floor, and then you've got maybe Phoenix and or maybe like Godot. Dude, totally.
We could cycle between a lot of. There are like multiple courtrooms in the series.
Having Godot on one side and then maybe Edgeworth on the other, just screaming at each other. So yeah, I would really love Phoenix Wright. I totally agree with everything you said earlier. And the one big thing about Phoenix too is, again, the music. I like to the point where there are like orchestral arrangement soundtracks of the Phoenix Wright music, and there's so many good tracks that I think would really fit in Smash Brothers, especially with remixes. So
it's really interesting with Ace Attorney, because I think almost every game, except for like the last 2 great Ace Attorney games and Apollo Justice, have like different composers.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned the other Ace Attorney games, because we know another Ace Attorney game is in development for the Switch. So they could line that up somehow with that new Ace Attorney game as well. Whereas I think I don't think DMC 6 is coming to Switch anytime soon. They're not going to make the next Devil May Cry game on Switch.
The thing is, though, Devil May Cry 3 is coming next month.
Right, and they're making a pretty big deal about
exclusive
it.
content. That's weird.
But I do feel like a new game almost overrides like a port. But I totally agree with you. I think that's good evidence.
What I want to say also about Phoenix Wright is he's one of those characters like Mega Man or Banjo that isn't a Nintendo character, but kind of feels like one.
Totally.
Yeah.
So that was my other repeat. Now we're going to get into the controversial pick. This is something that I definitely didn't think anybody else was going to bring up, and something that we just discussed before I started, and that is the first party character in this pack. I think we are going to get a first party character. Gino kind of counts. I know Gino's owned by Square Enix, but Gino's from a Mario franchise. But I think we're going to get a purely first party rep. And as much as I would love somebody from Xenoblade, like I said, somebody from Torna or maybe Fiora, I don't think that's going to happen. And I think Breath of the Wild 2, as cool as it would be to include one of those characters, the fact that he brought up that Breath of the Wild Zelda wouldn't make sense as a fighter to me, and it seems like the direction Breath of the Wild 2 is going is that Zelda might be playable. I was first thinking, well, maybe, you know what, he's going to take that back and maybe utilize some of the new tools that Zelda has in this new game if she actually ends up being playable. And then we got the expansion pass announcement for Sword and Shield. And we saw in this expansion pass announcement a new legendary fighting type that specifically got a call out as the legendary that pushes this expansion pack. And I was thinking about stages that would make sense in Smash Brothers and music within the Pokemon franchise that isn't already represented. And to me, the idea of getting Urshifu, which is the new evolution of that new legendary fighting type bear that specifically has two different fighting stances in the game. There's like the quick strike stance, and then I forgot what the other one's called. I feel like, man, having a stance fighter legendary Pokemon that's a fighting type in the game would really make sense within the world of Smash Brothers. And in terms of a stage, especially considering how much it blew up and how much people talked about it, I mean, the wild area is a no-brainer to me. If they're gonna put in a Sword and Shield character, you make the wild area a stage. You either travel throughout the wild area and wild Pokemon attack you. You have raids that happen with giant Dynamax Pokemon in the background. I mean, the wild area is made almost to be a Smash Bros. Stage.
I believe there's a large tower in one of the new wild areas in the DLC, so that would be a good place to set the stage on.
Totally. So I think Urshifu of any of the other first-party characters would make a lot of sense, and I think would almost have a reaction similar to Byleth, but is one of those things that
from a controversial game.
That seems like a great way to end the pass.
Well, no. So
nobody really wanted.
I think Urshifu could have been maybe like Fighter 4 or Fighter 5 of this pass. I think it'll be near the end where people are going to get kind of concerned, but I don't think it's going to be the last one. And here's why. I think the last one is a character that they tried to get in the first Challenger pack, because Sakurai mentioned that there were like 70-something characters they were considering when they were going through putting this together. And the one thing to me that really stands out is there are two characters in particular that a lot of people have asked for that feel to me like this is never going to happen. People want these characters to happen, but to me, there's no way either of these get in. But there's precedent for both of these companies to have one of these characters in the game. So I'm actually going to throw out two. I put both of these as a slash. And there's also Mii Fighter costumes that I think go with these. Oh, another thing I forgot to bring up. We brought up the Monster Hunter Mii Fighter costumes that are missing. I totally think that'll drop with Phoenix Wright. I think when we get Phoenix Wright, we'll get the Monster Hunter stuff. And I also think...
I think it'll come with a Capcom rep at least.
Yeah. And I think at some point, maybe in the near pack or whatever, I think we're going to get a Mii Brawler costume for Crash Bandicoot. That's another one that I don't know where it would make sense, but I feel like Sakurai would be hesitant to put Crash in the game as an actual fighter, but I think Crash feels like a really cool Mii Brawler character to me they could do, where it really looks like Crash Bandicoot. It's not just like a Mii wearing Crash's outfit, you know? Yeah.
I think a really likely Mii Fighter costume that could come with Phoenix Wright is Professor Layton, because he's such a simplistic character design that all you need is the outfit to complete it. And he could either... I think he would be like a Mii swordsman.
Sure, with the lance.
He fights with a sword a lot. He fights with a pipe in one of the movies. That'd be funny. But yeah, it's such a simplistic design, and it's become like kind of synonymous with Phoenix Wright because of the crossover and the fact that they were like two of the biggest adventure type games for a whole generation.
Yeah, and Professor Layton was on my honorable mentions for this list, and I was putting this together, so completely agree.
I think there's not enough to work with for Professor Layton for an actual fighter, but Mii Fighter, completely, totally possible.
Absolutely.
Sword Fighter?
There you go, Sword Fighter, yeah. So here are the two I'm going to present as the potential final fighters of this entire thing. Because it's one thing to close out the first pass when you know there's 6 other characters coming, and it's another thing to end with like a Byleth when it's literally the last character that's going to be in this game. Because I can't imagine we're getting more fighters beyond 2021. Now, who knows with Sakurai? Maybe he's like, screw it, Fighter Pass Volume 3. But I really feel like this is it, man. It's gonna have to end with something big. And I have Mii Fighter options for both of these fighters, and I also have stages that go with these fighters. And so I'm gonna throw it out there. I know people are gonna laugh at me. The first of these two options for the last character is Sora from Kingdom Hearts. And I know there's a lot of licensing talk with Sora, but I feel like Traverse Town as the stage, some type of remix of Simple and Clean as the music, even if that's the only music track that's in there, and the Kingdom Hearts 2 look of Sora, which I think is like sort of the most iconic one. We've got more stuff with Kingdom Hearts coming out in the near future, and obviously nothing has been announced yet, but the reason that I feel so strongly about Sora is if you look historically at the Kingdom Hearts franchise, after the mainline games, we've gotten spin-off games on Nintendo platforms. So after the first game, we got Chain of Memories on Game Boy Advance. After the second game, we ended up getting Dream Drop Distance on 3DS, and also the 900 and whatever, however many fractions over days on DS as well. And I actually think that the next Kingdom Hearts game, and I've talked about this on videos before, is going to be Switch exclusive. And I think it's going to be a weird spin-off with that character that we keep seeing that looks like Noctis. And so I think that Sora being timed with like some type of Switch spin-off game would make a lot of sense. And again, I feel like Sora is one of those characters that could close out the pack and would leave everybody satisfied. And yes, it is kind of an anime swordsman, but he uses a giant key. It's not a sword, so he's really just bashing people with it. And I think there is a way to go about making Sora without including the Disney stuff. Like, I think they could actually just have the Kingdom Key without the little Mickey Mouse keychain on it. And I think they could maybe not include Donald and Goofy, but make spirits for like Kairi and Roxas and Riku.
Yeah, there's a lot of Kingdom Hearts original characters.
Totally. And what I was going to say is, because we were talking about Mii Fighter costumes that could drop with these, I think this is where the Chocobo and Moogle costumes that were left out drop. I think they drop with Sora. And if they don't drop with Sora and they drop with a different Square character, you guys already know I brought it up earlier, I think they could drop with 2B. I think we could see 2B, and then the announcement, that Chocobo and Moogle are coming as Mii Fighter costumes. But
Can we get a Tifa Mii costume?
Oh, Tifa Mii costume would be amazing.
Brawler.
I would love it. Mii Brawler, Tifa, be great. But here's the other possibility, and I know people are going to laugh me off of this discussion, but I'm going to bring this up. If it's not Sora, and it's somebody as big that would make as big of a splash, really a giant final last character, look, all right, we already have Banjo-Kazooie in the game. We have Cuphead in the game. Yes, you already know where I'm going.
Okay.
You know where I'm going.
I was waiting the entire time. I knew you were going to get
to be Master Chief. I mean, we got Banjo-Kazooie as a playable fighter. We've got Cuphead now as a Mii Fighter. It would not surprise me to get some type of like Ori Mii Fighter costume. And I definitely think that there is going to be another Microsoft character. If they already worked with Microsoft in the first place, I think there is potential there for a Minecraft character, but now that we've seen the Mii Fighter outfits that we've gotten, dude, Steve makes so much sense as a Mii Sword Fighter. They could totally make an exact one-to-one Mii Sword Fighter that looks kind of like how Sans and Cuphead do, where it looks like it's standalone character, and then that way I don't think people would get really pissed off if they put Steve in the game.
I think if they ever did standalone third-party DLC stages, I think a Minecraft stage would be great.
Yeah.
I think that's where Minecraft
totally
would shine.
But I feel like if they're gonna work with Microsoft and actually put another character in, and they're really gonna save it for the last one, go balls to the wall. Make it Master Chief. Make High Charity the stage. Put the Halo theme in there. Some type of remix, and go all out. Because I know there's some people who, have said Doom Guy, and they mentioned Doom Guy. But if we're going to get a character similar to Doom Guy that is like a military sci-fi looking person, I mean, realistically, yes, Doom has a history. There's Doom games on Nintendo platforms. Bethesda's worked with Nintendo. I get it. But realistically, Doom Guy is like a poor man's Master Chief. Put Master Chief in there, make them all, and then I think they can do it where
we're gonna get comments.
I don't care. Let the comments roll. At me on Twitter at RogersBase. I don't care about you. So
I feel like Doom Guy has so much more personality than Master Chief.
In what world does Doom Guy have more personality than Master Chief?
He's a really silly, wacky character. He fist bumps his little dude. He even the way
he's always pissed off.
Yes, yeah.
They could build out. Well, no, but we could, because I feel like they could build out a lot of stuff like with Cortana, and then they have like the voiceovers. I don't know, man.
I think it's a lot easier to translate Master Chief to Smash actually than Doom Guy.
Yeah, definitely.
Because Doom Guy has, I know there's other M-rated characters, but Doom Guy, especially in his modern incarnation,
squarely M-rated.
Yeah,
he is very, Carnage-based.
Yeah, the violent isn't, he should be ripping Mario's arm off and beating Luigi to death with it. That's what he does. If he's not doing that.
Well, Master Chief, too, I think, a lot of his weapons are more, kind of fantasy-esque that would work within Smash. So, the Needler, for example, is something I'm thinking of, which would, it looks like a Smash Brothers item, almost. or the Banshees, even, too, flying in on a Banshee and shooting at people as his final Smash or something like that.
I think Doom Guy could work, and I personally kind of like Doom Guy a little bit more, but I feel like Master Chief fits easier, because Doom Guy, he does have those sci-fi weapons too, but he also uses a shotgun and a chainsaw, and if he's not using a shotgun and a chainsaw, he's not going to feel like Doom Guy. So, and I feel like Doom is... I feel like they're both iconic in different ways, and Doom, in a lot of ways, is the father of the modern first-person shooter, especially deathmatch. But Halo also is the genre that... is the game that elevated the genre in home consoles. And on top of that, too, again,
they're working with Microsoft, and I'm not just thinking about the one character that gets added.
There's rumors. There's rumors right now, a lot of rumors.
I love that you're taking these words out of my mouth right as I'm going to say them, because that's the other big thing I was going to say is I think if we see Master Chief collects it on Switch, to me, done deal. Master Chief is in this game. Done deal. That would be, if we get Halo in some capacity on the Nintendo platform, and we already have Cuphead in there as a Mii fighter, you get, Minecraft Steve in there as a Mii fighter, you've got Banjo in there too, it's done. And the other big thing about Halo, and we've talked about this already with the weapons, is the side characters also kind of feel like they could be Smash characters as well. Whereas, with something like Doom, I don't really know if that would make sense. But, with Master Chief, you could have Cortana appear in his hand as one of the taunts. You could have Guilty Spark flying around in the background. I mean, there are really recognizable, cartoony-esque looking characters that they could add in there. And again, with the relationship they've had with Microsoft, and it really popped up to me again after this last Smash Direct where we saw the Microsoft copyright underneath everything, it's wow. They're really working with them on this. It isn't just a one-off thing. They have Banjo and Cuphead. They could really do this. If they want to do it, and Halo comes to Switch, they could make Master Chief happen. And so I think if they're going to do it, he's the 6th. He's that weird, crazy, last-minute one nobody predicts. They put him in there as Challenger Pack 6, we get Master Chief. So I've said my piece. And let the Doom haters, flood into my comments on Twitter, yelling at me.
Well,
I've been saving this joke because I didn't want to talk over anyone, but the Smash rendition of the Halo theme should be 70 dudes in the male restroom at Nintendo headquarters all singing the chant.
Oh. and here's the other last thing I want to put. The cherry on top of my crazy predictions with Master Chief is... what is the catchphrase that everybody knows from Halo, from that trailer of the third game, which is probably one of the most iconic... Dude, it's...
Yeah, he's got...
Finish the fight.
He's got a tagline
right there. You have finished the fight in this
yeah.
trailer. Everybody is here. Master Chief's the last one. It's done. And then it's 2021. This is truly the ultimate Smash game. We finished. Again, finish the fight. Master Chief finishes the fight. It has his splash screen. It's written. It is written. I'm telling you, come back to this discussion at the end of 2021. I'm calling it right now.
I don't think either of those choices is as
well, I think
outlandish
there's
as
a
you
lot
thought
of
we
people
would
who
think
truly
they
don't
are.
think Master Chief has any possibility whatsoever. But I've seen people talking about Kratos getting in the game, and I feel like Master Chief is way more likely than someone like Kratos. So.
Oh yeah, no. Unless you're talking about Kratos from Bait and Kaitos, we're not getting any Kratos.
I mean, I don't think Master Chief has any chance of getting in Smash. If anybody joins our Discord and checks the pinned messages in the #SourceGaming chat, you'll see a rate that character for Master Chief that explodes a 0% onto the screen.
and that's the thing. I think,
but like, I'm not against Master
no.
Chief. It's like I'm not really against any character aside from non-video game characters. But, like, it doesn't seem very likely, especially because, like, Microsoft's own properties outside of Minecraft and their Rare properties don't really have that much of a presence in the Japanese market.
Well, the weird thing is, though, it feels like little by little Microsoft is using the Switch to get their hold on the Japanese market, because Minecraft is doing incredibly well on the Switch in Japan. Cuphead is consistently at the bestseller list on the eShop in Japan as well.
Microsoft doesn't own Cuphead; they just funded it.
Well, they own licensing rights to Cuphead, do they not? Because Studio MDHR allowed them to put it in the game, but I'm pretty sure they do own a portion of Cuphead.
I don't think they own Cuphead at all. I think they just funded it. Let me find out.
Because
Microsoft's weird with that.
Because didn't they mention during the direct, the indie direct in which Cuphead came out, didn't they mention specifically working with Microsoft and Studio? Yeah, there you go.
To it.
For some reason, with Cuphead, Microsoft does own the publishing rights to the game.
And as far as
Studio MDHR owns the IP.
Perfect. There you go.
So Cuphead's inclusion in Smash has nothing to do with Microsoft, but it coming to Switch was because Microsoft told them to do it.
Gotcha. Well, cool.
I'm going to say this, circling back to Doom Guy. If Master Chief is not in, he's not a Mii costume. However, if Doom Guy's not in, he could be a Mii costume.
There you go. Totally.
And I can see, I've actually been, because I didn't have Doom Guy on my list, I think he's going to get in. I think he's going to get in as a Mii costume. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to get in with any Doom music, because the only ones that seem to have music are indies. It's not like, Goemon or Altair had music. Because I would really love some Doom music in Smash. I think Master Chief is the biggest splash they can make, especially in the West.
Yes.
I think it's a character that could happen, but I don't think it's extremely likely. But I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. Especially, I think it really depends on if that Master Chief collection is real. If Master Chief collection is coming to Switch, then I will bump this up to
totally
from 15% to 75. It's gonna go way up.
Well, Microsoft, you've got 2 years to announce Master Chief Collection on Switch at some point. So,
as far as Sora goes, I think people make way too big of a deal out of the licensing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if Sakurai wants to make something work, he can, and I feel like. I think the licensing problem comes down to money, because I feel like Disney's a very Western company, and if somebody's going to give them enough money, they'll do it.
Disney will do anything for money. We've seen that.
I mean, at this point, we have Kylo Ren and we have Zori Bliss in Fortnite with Vader and the Stormtroopers doing Fortnite dances. So I think
the actual opening to the newest Star Wars movie isn't available anywhere except in Fortnite.
Right, we keep bringing up Fortnite, so let's not bring up Fortnite and I keep talking about Smash DLC, man. I don't know if I can take Jonesy. I feel like that's the one video game character that it might break me.
The mystery, the final character, the actual final character after the Fighter's Pass is done is Jonesy, and he's added for free to everyone's copy of the game.
I was going to say, you guys don't want a llama head Mii fighter costume for the Mii Gunner? I think it could totally happen, yeah. That would be a fun stage.
You know what, though? In all seriousness,
it would be.
Party Bus would be a fun stage. I'm just gonna... at the end of the day, I don't really care too much about the... If they include Jonesy, please don't, but I'll get over it. I'll be like, that's a fun character.
And we've been talking about it. Like I said, I know I technically had 7 instead of 6. And so if I have to actually name my 6, I'm going to say Gino, Travis, 2B, Phoenix Wright, Urshifu, and Master Chief.
Okay.
All right, yeah.
I feel like Sora is one of those characters that seems really possible, but I don't know if they would actually go through removing and gutting all Disney references from him, because that's kind of a vital part of his character.
Yeah. it's just how much Nintendo wants it. If they think it's worth it, I think they absolutely could make it happen.
Yeah, I don't doubt Sakurai anymore.
Sakurai is like he's very like for representing the characters as faithfully as possible.
Yeah,
that's why we have like really like classic Mega Man, classic Simon Belmont.
And remember that a lot of the Kingdom Hearts content, I know people are all like, well, Disney owns Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, they do. They own the characters and they own the concept.
Yes.
But the actual code is still coming from Square Enix. So any of the assets come from Square Enix. The music is done by Square Enix. So like there's still so not only are you going to have to deal with Disney, you're also going to have to deal with Square Enix, who are a little stingy. Yeah. But it can happen. It's definitely not out of the realm of possibility. I'm really upset.
It seems, like I said, it seems like a very, very likely character to anyone who doesn't look into it more. Like on the surface, it's a very, very likely character for casual fans of Smash to expect, and they're probably wondering why Sora isn't already in. But it's just like such a web, a tangled web of rights issues, and
yeah.
There's also like a really weird thing with the like possibilities with Sora, where if they negotiate with Disney, they might just be like, put Mickey Mouse in the game
as like a spirit or something. Mickey Mouse spirit, King Mickey. Well, technically King Mickey is a video game character. It started in a video game, but Mickey Mouse isn't. So
they're not the same character. It's not real.
Yeah, so I mean, you could like I don't think it's a hard and fast rule. I think when he says that, he just means that Goku and SpongeBob aren't going to be in the game. Yeah.
He keeps getting asked for Goku and SpongeBob. That's the one he specifically brought up.
See, now you're talking about Goku and SpongeBob. Master Chief sounds a lot more likely now, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I'm shocked that I'm the only person that has a Namco character on here, because I will put money on a Namco character happening.
So here's why I didn't put a Namco character, because I was considering it, and many of you guys know this if you watch my content. I am partnered with Bandai Namco, so they're like one of my main sponsors. I would love a Bandai Namco character in there, but thinking about it and going back to what you guys were saying too, like considering all aspects of these characters, making them unique, making them really tie into their original game, making them, an icon, representing a franchise that's either really popular still today or has a game coming out. There's really not a lot of things in terms of Namco developed stuff. Like, of course, Tales is a franchise that's going on for a long time, and Lloyd would absolutely be cool. I'd be happy with Lloyd. But that almost does fall into the anime sword fighter thing, and we made the joke earlier about like how it's mostly Fire Emblem. They're not talking about all anime sword fighters, but Lloyd would come off to me, especially in the West, as a lot of people who don't necessarily know that character being like, why? Who is this? Why is he in the game? Like they don't remember the GameCube era or something like that. And so Lloyd is one that I considered, but I don't think is going to get in. And Heihachi, didn't he mention during Smash 4 that they considered making Heihachi a character, but he wasn't unique enough, and that's why he's a Mii Fighter costume?
They couldn't translate the Tekken mechanics.
That's what it was.
Very well.
So I think he's attempted that in the past,
right? But
and then he realized it didn't work.
He's also attempted Ridley like 3 times, so it's just.
Well,
yeah, that's true.
Do we know if he ever programmed Ridley in, or if he just was like, I don't really consider him because he's too big, to the point where they even made that as a joke?
Heihachi's also in a weird place in the Tekken franchise 2. In the latest game, he's now dead, but he's died before, so he might come back. But they have to replace his voice actor again, because his second voice actor passed away. So it might be a weird issue trying to get him into the game. Unless they use like archive clips like they do with Sonic.
The only other Namco character that really stands out to me that I'm actually shocked nobody brought up at all is some type of Demon Souls rep. Like Dark Souls, Demon Souls. Yeah, totally. Because I think they could do legitimately Solaire and make it interesting and funny, where it actually works within the world of Smash Brothers, but is still true to the game itself. But the only thing about that just like kind of rubs me the wrong way is that Solaire isn't the main character of Dark Souls. He's the most recognizable. And, we talked about this even with like the Three Houses stuff on discussions years ago, where like I would have preferred Edelgard, but they went with Byleth. He's always going to choose, most likely, the main character of the franchise. And what's the name character's name again? It's like, he's like a nameless...
It's a chosen undead.
Right.
You are the chosen undead, and then Solaire is your Mii costume.
Right. So I feel like that would actually be the most likely if they were going to do an Namco rep, because of course Dark Souls is still an ongoing franchise. It's a big deal. People love it. If you walk into Namco's offices, they have a giant statue of Solaire right when you walk in. But Namco, again, like Bandai Namco, they mostly make anime fighting games nowadays. Like My Hero Academia and Dragon Ball Kakarot just came out, and the One Piece Pirate Warriors games, and like they make a lot of anime stuff. And I've seen some people saying
franchise I could see left is Soul Calibur from what we haven't talked about. But like Soul
Nightmare
Calibur
or something?
also Nightmare or Keelik or something. But like there's also that thing where Soul Calibur kind of doesn't really have a main character. It's like Keelik for some games. It's Siegfried in some games. In the most recent game, it is Keelik, which is like a reboot of sorts. But like at the same time, I don't know what they could bring from that game that would make it a unique fighter, because they want to focus on having unique fighters. And like,
well, if you did Nightmare, you would do stance change.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be cool.
He's got defensive and offensive stances. Yeah.
Well,
and that's the thing about the fighting game characters. I think with both like Tekken and Soul Calibur, is I can see because he's so focused on mechanics. If he says, "Let me see if I can really make it work," I can see that being a challenge that Sakurai does.
Yeah.
Urshifu would have stance changing too.
That's. To be honest, though, that's what, and I think Urshifu actually is pretty likely with everything with Sword and Shield.
And the wild area would be a good stage.
Yeah.
See, you're not the only one, Roger.
I'm glad, because the more I thought about it, I'm like, dude, of course, especially after seeing the monastery as a stage, I was like, damn, the wild area would be sick. And you think about it, there isn't really a new Pokemon stage in this game.
Nope.
There isn't. They have remakes of like older stages, but there's a new Mario stage with the Mario Odyssey stage. There's a new Zelda stage, the one that's missing, and there's a new Fire Emblem stage. We need a new Pokemon stage. The wild area is right there. Bada bing, bada boom, Dynamax Pokemon. We in there. But the one other thing I want to bring up before we move away from the Namco stuff too is I have seen people say, well, Namco only has one representative, and the one thing I want to say is that you look, at these companies that have multiple representatives, I would argue, and this is subjective maybe, but I would argue that the one Namco character, being Pac-Man, is quite possibly the second most recognizable character in this entire video game after Mario. I think like you can't get more recognizable in terms of video games than Pac-Man. There's no bigger icon in video games than Pac-Man. I mean, the fact that Pac-Man is in the game as a playable fighter, I think almost overrides anything else they could put in as an Namco representative. Like, Pac-Man's in there, he's representing their company, and I don't think they necessarily need a second one.
Yeah, and he has a taunt where he pulls out different like Namco iconography, including Heihachi. So hey,
and the prince from Katamari Damacy.
Yeah,
I would love Katamari in Smash.
You and me both, man.
I've brought up stages a lot. A Katamari stage would be my favorite stage in Smash. I would love it with the music and everything.
Everybody gets run over, and then the match just ends. Everybody, it's a draw.
There's a part of where he starts rolling you up, and then all of a sudden you're fighting on top of a giant ball for a while, and then it resets. The King of All Cosmos comes and resets it, and then you're at the beginning.
I love it. I love it.
Oh man, now I want something that'll never happen. Damn it, Smash Brothers.
I think it's interesting too. We talked about like the order of the 6 I brought up, and I just feel very strongly that if they were going to do Master Chief, he would really be the last one, just because of the splash that he would make and the finish the fight thing being so synonymous with the character. But I do wonder, like, Halo and Microsoft, like you brought up earlier, isn't really that big in Japan.
Yeah.
And so Master Chief would be more like a Banjo reveal, where it'd be huge in North America and pretty much every other territory, but Japan might be like, oh, that's cool.
It's an E3 reveal.
Right. So that's the other thing I'm thinking of.
Japan actually, like, was really excited about Banjo. Banjo's actually, like, pretty well known in Japan and requested.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it went over really well.
That's awesome.
It wasn't like the opposite of Hero, where like the West was like, okay, it's Hero, the Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
No, it's just like, wow, it's Banjo. I remember those games.
Hoshi no Banjo. There you go. But I do feel like, it would be an E3 reveal if it wasn't the last reveal.
Yeah.
And I mean, what a way to kick off the pack. If they announce this E3, like, oh, Master Chief Collection's coming to Switch, or we get that announcement during like the first Direct of this year, and then they open up E3 with, oh, by the way, here's the first character of the Challenger Pack, and it's Master Chief. Like, where do we go from there? You can't do Urshifu after all that, or you could. If you put Master Chief in the game and the 6th character is Urshifu, then maybe people aren't going to be as mad.
That seems likely. I feel like that's what happens. Everybody talks about how are we going to top Master Chief.
Yeah, we're opening with Master Chief
was so
dropping.
high.
After that, we're getting Urshifu. There you go.
I think you're right, Roger. I think that's the only way this could possibly end.
Last character from a controversial game again. ...
There you go.
Yeah.
And considering all the controversy behind the Sword and Shield stuff too that exists within that community, it's like, man, if you think people are mad about Byleth, I can't even imagine what like the National Dexers would be thinking about Urshifu in a wild area stage.
Well,
Another fighting type.
Right.
I think Pokemon's still like safe from that, because like every Pokemon fighter except for Pichu is unique. So like even though like Incineroar was like really controversial, Incineroar was really controversial because it was the last fighter. There wasn't anything else. People were expecting more, especially because of fake leaks. But like I don't think people would be upset about another Pokemon character because they're always like really unique and they always fight differently.
And people wanted Grassbird.
Yeah, it was interesting. A lot of people really did want Decidueye, but going in pretty early on, I'm like, well, if you look at the anime and you look at what's going on and you look about Masuda talking about his favorite Pokemon of the generation being Incineroar, and he's a wrestler, it's like, it kind of makes sense. It was telegraphed pretty heavily that would have been the Pokemon.
Whichever Pokemon is the most heavily promoted for the generation.
Exactly. That's the one that's going to get in. Yeah. Though, to be fair, he didn't know Greninja when they implemented Greninja in Smash 4. I don't think he understood that Greninja was going to become such a big part of the anime that season.
It's possible,
and that it was going to be pushed that much. But I think he just looked at the designs of the 3 from X and Y and were like, oh, Greninja, this is Frog Ninja. This is way cooler than the other 2.
But yeah, like Lucario was like one of the first Gen 4 Pokemon ever revealed.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Got his own movie. They usually pick the biggest, which is going to be interesting if they pick Urshifu, because that's like a DLC fighter, and I don't think they will show up in the Pokemon anime until like way later, because this was planned out like way in advance.
Totally.
It might be like it'll have no promotion whatsoever, and it just shows up in Smash.
And I mean, there are possibilities, right? Like, I do feel very strongly we're going to get Sword and Shield Pokemon. I do. Like, that's a lock for me.
It looks like the one that's being promoted right now in the anime is Cinderace.
So there you go. Because I was going to say, but then we already have 2 fighting types, because we have Charizard and we have Incineroar, so that would be strange. And then Rillaboom would have to carry around his drum set. And Inteleon, they could make a sniper, but... Well, actually, we got Greninja already, though, too. Yeah. So, man... After that Byleth trailer we just got, where, you know, Byleth gets his butt handed to him and then female Byleth comes in and saves the day. I mean, I could clearly see the trailer where the first form is attacking, and then, you know, we get that little cut in where the trainer's like, changed your style or whatever, you're not fast enough, and they have the Pokemon trainer screaming, and then he changes his style and goes in again.
Yeah, just looking at it, like that could be, you know, it's basically the same things you could do with a Tekken fighter, really.
Yeah. And I think they would probably prefer a Pokemon Sword and Shield character over a Tekken fighter, so...
Yeah, probably.
All right, so I guess that's it. We went over a lot of potential characters today.
Yeah, we've been talking for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the character that you particularly want has not been mentioned by us, then it has absolutely no chance.
Don't say that. You guys are getting enough hate with the Doom Guy stuff. You shouldn't say that.
We mentioned Doom Guy, though.
That's right.
So he's fine.
We didn't mention Overwatch. We didn't mention Tracer and Diva and stuff, because Overwatch 2 is coming out this year, and that's on Switch. So.
Oh boy.
Oh man, I'd love a Warcraft character. Anyways. Yeah,
I'm down.
Listen, the possibilities are endless, except for Resident Evil. It's not happening anymore because they're spirits. I'm sorry.
You know how sick Wesker would have been? So sick, or Jill Valentine, both of, or Leon, any of the 3. Man. Oh man.
Shadow Link did a moveset breakdown of Resident Evil characters where it was like a buddy mechanic. It was pretty cool. Like you'd play as two of them at a time.
Man, that would have been so cool.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, I think we can all say that Sakurai does whatever Sakurai wants to do.
Definitely.
And we don't know what games are coming out, which I think will help inform this. I think maybe after the first big direct, in later January, February, maybe even March. But once we see what Nintendo's 2020 is looking like, maybe we'll have a little bit better of an idea. But we brought up, I think I wouldn't be disappointed with almost any of the characters we brought up today. I'm excited to see what's in the future, and until next time, I'm Spazzy. You can find me here, 8bit_Spazzy on Twitter, anywhere around here. We also have everybody else. Let's say our outros, guys. Say our goodbyes. Start with you, Matt.
Dante's in. You can find me on Twitter at @ashadowlink. I mostly do videos for Source Gaming, so you'll find me all around this YouTube channel too. If you want to keep up to date with all of my hot takes, you can follow me on Twitter.
Yep. Cody?
I'm also on Twitter. You can find me at Nokoloc, NOKOLOC on Twitter, and pretty much anywhere else. So if you want to keep up with me on there, check me out.
Yeah, I just want to point out that you do a lot of the you, along with Push Dustin, our former overlord, do a lot of the Famitsu translations.
That's right.
And we really appreciate you guys for
Excellent
that.
work.
And finally,
I'll try my best.
Finally, Roger, what's all your stuff?
Yeah, you can find me at RogersBase on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter, and on Instagram. I do anime videos, Nintendo videos, a whole bunch of stuff. Got some Tokyo Mirage System things coming up in the near future, and I'm actually going to be having a video within the next week up. I don't know when this gets uploaded, of my top 10 picks for the DLC for Pokemon for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, one of which is a Pokemon. So go check out that video.
Ooh, I wonder who it is.
Yeah, gee, I wonder what Pokemon will be brought up in that video. But there are going to be, I think, like 3 or 4 other ones I'm going to bring up that we didn't talk about here for that top 10.
All right.
So look forward to that.
Interesting.
And thanks for having me, as always. This was fun.
Yeah. Remember to support us on Patreon if you want to see more content like this. We appreciate all the support that we get there. Even just $1 helps a lot. You can find our Patreon in the description below. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.
Always remember to return to the source.
Always remember to return to the source.
Master Chief for Smash.